Yeah. Come on, let's go. Welcome to the United Snakes, land of the thief, home of the slave. Grand Imperial Guard where the dollar is sacred and proud. Let's do the real, come on now. Smoke and mirrors, stripes and stars, stolen for the cross in the name of God. Bloodshed, genocide, rape and fraud, written to the pages of the law, good law. The cold continent latchkey child ran away one day and started acting foul. King of where the wild things are, daddy's proud, cause the Roman Empire done passed it down. Imported and tortured the workforce and never healed the wounds or shook the curse off. Now the grown-up Goliath nation holding open auditions for the part of David. Can you feel? Nothing can save you. You question the rain, you get rushed in and chained up. Fist raised, but I must be insane, cause I can't figure single damn way to change. Well, welcome to the United Snakes, land of the thief, home of the slave. The Grand Imperial Guard where the dollar is sacred and power is God. Welcome to the United Snakes, land of the thief, home of the slave. The Grand Imperial Guard where the dollar is sacred and power is God. All must bow to the fat and lazy.
This is Kariman Al-Alfi from Yahalavoice and Taking It to the Streets 2013, and we're with Brother Ali. Brother Ali, how are you?
I'm good.
Welcome to Chicago and Taking It to the Streets. What is your performance this time around that's different than any other one that you did before?
A few things. This is my fourth time performing at Streets. I was here in 2005, and then when they did it again in 2007, and then again in 2010, and here we are in 2013. I have some live musicians with me today, so I play the, in the hip-hop beat, you have the drums and the bass, and then you have the music that goes along with that. So I play the drums and the bass myself through the, electronically. And then we have a live keyboard player and a live guitar player. So we have that live element, but it still feels like the original hip-hop track. But the number one key feature of what we have today is a group of young sisters that dance with us. 3 young Muslim sisters who, perform like hip-hop styles of dance that are blended with some other styles, but primarily hip-hop. And they perform one of the pieces they do called Morning in America, M-O-U-R-N. They perform in all black with niqab on, and their style is very, warrior style dance. And then I have another song called Fajr that they go back and change, and they come back out in these really bright, colorful, look almost North African style. And they do a different style of dance. It's just gorgeous, but it's very powerful. It's very dignified. There's definitely an elegance to it. There's definitely a really dignified sensuality about it too. So that it's not that they're not women, it's not that they're not beautiful, it's not that they're not feminine, but the best of their beauty is being spotlighted, as opposed to something that should be private. You know what I mean? So they're not accessories.
Elegance.
Absolutely, and they're the bosses of it. You know what I mean? They're not my dancers. This is a group of people that I'm blessed to collaborate with, and they, choreograph it themselves, and they just offered. They just offered, hey, they just started actually dancing, and they were using some of my songs already, and so when I saw it, I was just in tears at how beautiful and how powerful it was. And I'm seeing so many other non-Muslims looking at them like it's destroying all these conceptions they had of Muslims in general, but Muslim women in particular. And then I'm also seeing Muslim women see themselves on stage. Everybody has to see themselves on stage. You have to do that to know that you are a star too, so that I'm somebody too. And so you have to see yourself on stage. And so watching Muslim women watch them, and just seeing their eyes fill with tears, and seeing them be moved, and seeing their posture change, I'm just so thrilled to be working and just being a fan of theirs, but then being able to work on the same stage with them. Their group is called We're Muslim, Don't Panic.
We're Muslim, Don't Panic. It's interesting. I'm really looking forward to that performance. And also, I wanted to know, you made a statement before that you've always been more comfortable with African Americans. Why do you think is that?
Well, just looking different, being albino. When I was a little kid, I was generally ostracized and wasn't really a member of society. until African American people, a woman in particular, came along and taught me the things that I would need, the survival skills, spiritually and psychologically, mentally, for me to understand my role in life, as in the structure of this, white supremacist society, and that wisdom led to me, having black friends and black peers and black mentors and black spiritual leaders and foes too. It's not all roses, but the people that love me the most and the people that hate me the most and everything in between, we're all black, and the people that also inspired my art.
Do you think that's what inspired you to, do hip hop?
Definitely, yeah. That's what my friends did. I think that a lot of times white artists that get involved in hip hop, it's because of the music, and then because the music makes them interested in the culture. And mine was the opposite. I was operating inside the culture. I still am, in a body, in a vessel that's white, so I'm still experience white privilege in every aspect of my life, including within hip hop, including within activism, including trying to be outspoken and tell the truth. It's just privilege everywhere. Whether or not we want to be racist, if we live in a racist society, we're practicing racism. Even our work to fight racism, we still are willing or unwilling participants in racism.
Whether it's in an direct or indirect way.
Yeah, and it is direct. It's very direct. The reality that I just don't have the same. I can be oppressed. I can have difficulties in other parts of my life. I'm handicapped. I'm legally blind. I didn't have money growing up. Blah blah blah. But the reality is that because we're a hyper-competitive society, and being white, even if I don't have huge advantages, the fact that I don't have the extra challenges of not being what's considered normal. So whether that means Christian, male, straight, white, middle class, or better. You know what I mean? Just not having those extra burdens in a society that's based on individual competition, I'm able to move in a rate that somebody else who's just as smart as me, or not smarter, just as moral as me, if not more so, just as driven as me, if not more so, they have a host of challenges that I'll never have. Even if I want to be an ally to them, I still don't have the same, So yeah, definitely that. But I trying to operating within that social circle is what got me into the music, not the other way around.
But overall, you think there is less pressure?
Less pressure for
you to kind of go into, like you say, this to grow in that rate you're growing, or go into the path that you're going in, rather than, let's say, somebody who is male, straight, middle class, or better, etc.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there are just there's a very specific set of challenges for people who are outside of what's considered normal, or outside of what our society deems to be important. So, white people in our society, because of the way it's structured, whether people feel racist or not, we've got institutions that are based on prioritizing white people, prioritizing men, prioritizing straight people, prioritizing Christians, prioritizing people who are straight, all of these things are people who have are middle class or better, and so that's a very peculiar, specific type of burden and challenge that absolutely affects our opportunities in life. And so that's just a reality that exists in the world. And so people who are white or and want to fight against racism, people who are men and want to fight against sexism, people who are straight that want to fight against hatred of gay people, in our aspiration to be allies, we have to see it as not a charity thing that we do because we want to be nice to other people, but but with the reality that I'm not a human being. As long as being a human being isn't what it's about, you got to be a member of some other group that it replaces humanity, mainly white, because white's not a real thing outside of that. White is not a concept that means anything other than top of the food chain socially. And so if I want to be a full human being, if I want my humanity to really be intact, then other people's humanity has to be intact too. I'm in a situation where I practice racism every day. How do I feel about that? What do I really want to do about that? So me fighting, or us fighting, me as a male, me as a straight person, me as well, I'm not a Christian, but I get all the benefits of being Christian. I became Muslim 20 years ago, but I'm sitting on privilege that was created through 500 years of Christian extremist worldviews, manifest destiny and all of this stuff. So I personally am not a Christian, but I'm still operating on Christian power that was created by Christianity. So me having all these privileges, the idea is, what kind of person do I want to be? And that's going to be defined by what kind of world I live in. Because if I'm in a world with that other people's suffering is what defines my status in the world, then I need to end that suffering if I don't want to be that kind of person. It's not about whether or not I feel racist or I feel sexist or I feel whatever. It's the reality. Yeah. And if I genuinely love people, then I genuinely will hate their suffering. And I will genuinely hate the fact that I'm benefiting from their suffering. And it'll make me radical. And I hope I'm radical. I don't have a lot of, Muslims were scared of that word because these people are radicalized, and I'm nonviolent to the core. You know what I mean? I would never want to, express myself violently. But I believe in radical change.
Radical change. That's a great way to put it. Now, speaking of being radical or sometimes too critical or controversial, do you think that can harm you as an artist more than it can benefit you? Not as a person, as an artist. What do you think of that?
Well, as a business entity, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And you think it's still worth it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why?
Well, especially for the kind of artist I am, because my art has always been based on what's most important, that my own truth that I'm operating in or pursuing at the time. And so, I never had an opportunity to be a mainstream artist. It used to be that we had mainstream artists like Harry Belafonte, people like Aretha Franklin, who were, sexy and beautiful and talented on levels that appealed to everybody, and Muhammad Ali, and they were willing to risk it all to tell the truth. I'm in a little bit different situation because I've always been outside the mainstream, outside the norm, and I just started, becoming more politicized and realizing that I can't just allude to these things in my music, hoping that my fans pick up on it. I have to make music that they can't ignore the message of it. That's how I feel anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I don't think there's a wrong and right in the situation. I think it's how, you do things. And I think if you want to send out an allude message, or if you want something to be more direct, at the end of the day, it's your call and it's your art. Brother Ali, I want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm really, really looking forward to your performance today. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thanks for giving us a chance to talk, and thanks for what you do.
Of course.
Yeah. Lord. Yeah. We sell crack to our own out the back of our homes. We smell the musk of the dusk and the crack of the dawn. We go through episodes too, like Attack of the Clones. What till we break a back and you hear the crack of the bone. To get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. We commute the computer, spirits stay mute while your ego spread rumors. We survivalists turn to consumers. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. You ask them why some people gotta live in a trailer, cause like a sailor I paint a picture with the pen like Norman Mailer. Me and Weller raised 3 daughters all by herself with no help. I think about the struggle and I find the strength in myself. These words melt in my mouth, they hot like the jail cell in the south. Before my nigga Core bailed me out. To get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. We do or die like best stars, see the red sky out the window of the red eye. Let the lead fly, some G-rap shit, living the lead die. Boy, I woke up feeling brand new. I jumped up feeling my high and my low and my soul.
This is Kariman Al-Alfi from Yahalavoice at Taking It to the Streets 2013, and we're with the Nacicyst. Narcy, welcome to Taking It to the Streets and to Chicago.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
First of all, I want to know why the name. I'm sure you get that question a lot, but your music is so positive, and I want to know why Why the Nacicyst?
Well, really, I chose that name for two reasons. You know, number one, maybe I would say three reasons. Number one, you know, the field that I'm in is a very self-driven kind of art form. So I chose that name obviously as a pun to the fact that a lot of MCs think they're the best, and you know that's a form of confidence that you need to do what we do. Number two, it's also to remind myself to never forget why I did this, which is, you know, to speak for my people and represent for our experience as young Arabs in North America. So to not become the narcissist. And number three, to make sure that, you know, it's a reflection of human society and what's going on around us in the world. It's a very narcissistic society that we live in. So those are the reasons.
Very profound, I would say. And you started rapping and doing hip hop in Montreal, Canada. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I started in Abu Dhabi when I was really young. Like I was like 12, 13, and we started recording, you know, tape to tape, and you know, the classic story of the 90s. And then it became a real career in Montreal when I started taking it seriously at 18, 17.
How is the hip hop scene in Abu Dhabi and Canada?
Well, Canada is very, very diverse. Very, you know, there's so many different voices that come out of the hip hop scene there. So it's one of the most inspirational places, which is why I make my music there. I think, you know, it's like it's the closest thing to home. And in the Khalij and in the Middle East, you know, the hip hop is very much in its infancy. It's kind of in that first wave. It's growing into that second wave. So it's interesting to see the progression of the music that's coming out of there.
And I think you wrote a book about that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wrote a book about my experience and a couple of other MCs like Omar Effendim, Ragtop, and Eccentric, called Diatribes of a Dying Tribe, which originally was my master's degree with the album Fear of an Arab Planet. And then I turned it into a book and got all these different MCs and producers of Arab origin to partake in it.
Tell us more about the book and what it talks about.
The book is about the identity struggle, or what we call the sand dune power clash, which is that trap you feel between the East and the West sometimes, making career decisions or personal identity decisions. You know, we have someone like Suhair Hamad who intros the book, who is really one of the pioneers of what we do. And then speaking on those different experiences of coming from different parts of the Middle East, in different parts of North America and Europe, and how they're very similar in a way. So that's what it's about mostly.
And I heard a lot of rumors about hip-hop, and there's a theory. I don't know if you ever have heard of Ahmed Mikki, but he has a theory that hip-hop was originally an Arab thing.
Look, I won't take hip-hop from its origins. It started, you know, as an African-American vocation, you know, and it grew into the culture that it is now and the business that it is now. And, you know, we've always had poets and tarab and stuff like that in the Middle East, but, you know, I don't want to take it away from where it started. It's a beautiful experience that birthed hip-hop, a beautiful struggle that birthed hip-hop, and I would never say that Arabs started it. Arabs want to claim everything, man, you know. We already started math and the wheel and civilization. It's enough, man. Leave hip-hop to where it came from, you know.
And you also teach at Concordia, is that true?
Yeah, I teach at Concordia University. I was teaching a class on hip-hop and creativity, but now I recently got my own class, and I'm teaching a class about pop culture and different forms of media and the experience of information and how media shapes the understanding of that information.
So how do you balance touring the world and teaching?
Well, teaching is part-time. You know, I also have a company called The Medium, which is a multimedia company that encompasses many independent artists, and we come together for collaborative projects. So, you know, it's just a natural progression of the music. You go from making music to making videos to being involved in directing and visual art, and then working with visual artists. And then I just saw all these independent artists that I know worldwide that do different things, but together we're like Voltron. We come together and do something really crazy. So it was only a natural progression to do it, you know. And teaching is a big part of what we do. So
absolutely. So tell me more about the Envision series.
The Envision series is a program that Ray-Ban is doing all over the world, but I'm specifically working within the Middle East region. And it's, you know, people in the Middle East can apply through the Envision program with an idea, a creative idea that they have that they want to get funded and get off the ground. And they put it in, and then eventually we pick the best, and then we give them funds to create that project. So it started with me, with Ray-Ban. They helped fund my short film that I did for my next album called Rise, which is a long-form music video. And in turn, you know, it's a competition that we put out to the people. So people are applying and putting in their creative ideas, and we help them envision it and make it a reality.
So it's any project?
Any project, yeah, as long as it's in the Middle East, you know, as long as that person is based in Lebanon, Egypt, you know, Iraq, Syria, anywhere in the world in the Middle East, you know, so, yeah.
So since you're here taking it to the streets, and I know that Chicago has a very diverse crowd in all mediums, whether it's, you know, music or any kind of art, what do you think makes the Chicago crowd different than any other crowd anywhere in the world?
I think Chicago is one of the cities that's really at the forefront of art right now coming out of America. Some of the top pop artists or the top successful artists in hip hop are from here. Some of the most socially responsible artists come from here. And Chicago is, you know, from what I know, is a city that's going through terrible amounts of violence right now, you know. So it's at a breaking point, I think, and it's a beautiful place and beautiful people. So I'm very grateful to be here to share with the crowd. You know.
I want to thank you, Narcy, and before I let you go, I just want to ask you, what are you bringing to Taking It to the Streets?
I'm just bringing my music, man. I hope people have a good time, and I'm happy to be here with my brothers and sisters and rocking with everybody. And yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you again.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Hold up. Honor, forgive me, Baba. Transform a machine life. Metal dreams, pulling Geppetto strings. The last arrows to blast at. Rhyme immigrant flashback. Lyrical sad trap. There's no way I'm fearing you. Double agents clearing through bag harassment. Border cop, jet lag and asthma. Wet bags of grass get sent back to Basra. Hussein, a strangled bastard. Tracks bang when blasted like the Madrid bombings. I'm sick of this shit, mama. I'm leaving the racks, missile him. War music, pray for me cause I'm torn moving. Why would I ever leave? Never been better be.
My eyes bleeding, heart shedding tears, knowing we were bred in fear. Given this uneven start, believing the end is near. Whispers in a tender ear, devil's near. Listen here. I'll leave it at that.